Hello everyone and welcome to Crypt of the NecroDancer. I'm the Spectral Drifter, but you can just call me M, and let's get right into it. So your first question is probably what makes this crypt so special. With all the crypts I've went into, this looks like a normal one. Or maybe that's just me and I went into a lot more crypts than everyone else. But the reason that this crypt is so special is because it's under the dominion of the NercoDancer. Now, the NecroDancer isn't your ordinary lich risen back from the dead. He's actually one that has a funky groove to him. He likes to make everyone else dance even when they don't want to. And like his name suggests, the NecroDancer can't leave good enough dead. He has to reanimate them in a funky groove and bring everything else back that he can. So, with all that background out the way, you're probably wondering what's going on here. Well, the NecroDancer has my heart, and not in the emotional lovey way, but in the actuality way of the physical heart, and he's making me dance to a groove through his crypt. So I got to follow a beat to absolutely destroy him in vengeance, because I really am not that great at dancing and it's kind of embarrassing. So the crypt has 5 zones to them, and the NecroDancer resides in the 5th one, so I need to make my way down through every perilous flight of stairs to eventually find him. Now, the NecroDancer gained this power through the Golden Lute, which is a powerful relic that plays beautiful music, but also controls and brings back the dead. So, in the beginning of this crypt delving journey, I'm only equipped with a dagger and a dream, and throughout the crypt, I'm gonna need to find things to absolutely go through the NecroDancer's crypt. And right here, I find one of the more important things that'll help me through my journey, the Boots of Pain. Now, these boots deal pain to anyone that I step towards, as long as they're within a certain bit of range, and they have to be in front of where I'm moving and just one away from me. They can't be directly in front of me, but they can be a certain distance, and that's how I take them out. Now, these boots do 3 damage to anything, which means I can pop open crates. I can really only do that with just a bomb, but with these boots I can just shred through and get all the crates I need busted. Now, one of the more important things in this journey is to find shops with this merchant, because he can sell some pretty powerful things like this empty heart container, which will keep me alive longer. So maxing out my health right now, I'm looking pretty sturdy for the first part of the crypt. Now, fast forwarding a bit, we can get to something a little more interesting. The first boss, Fortissimo. Now, as his name suggests, this mole is one hell of a fortress in and of himself, and with this new broadsword, I should be able to at least survive this encounter. Though he is kind of a pain to deal with. He goes underground and he does pop up, but with the Boots of Pain, I instantly take him out. So, after reminiscing how I got in this situation in the first place, I get to go to the next section. Now, this section is just grass and greenery, a lot different from the first section of the crypt, which was stone and brick. And this place is harder than the last place I was in, and should pose a lot more of a challenge with a lot more dangers, but it should be fine nonetheless. And breaking into this shop, I find something that is very helpful. This is a cursed heart that will go away if I lose it permanently. But if I manage to heal past max health, I can actually heal that cursed heart to make it a regular one. So heading into the next zone of the floor, I find this cracked tile, which means that there's a secret portal in there. This guy can basically bring anything here that I select, and I found some chainmail armor, which he was so thankfully made me. And also, just thinking about it, I definitely had a lot more money, so after looking at the store, I decided to, hey, what the hell, go back in and see what I could get. So I decided to get a helmet, and he gave me these really cool pair of shades. I can't really see much through them, but they look cool enough. So what these shades do is they give me an extra damage to everything I do, but I can't tell what the hell is going on, so if this is really a buff, I don't know, but I'll rock it until I find something new. So heading to the next shop on the next floor, I find something that's truly awe-inspiring. That chest piece right there is what I want and need. That is way better than the chainmail I have right now. That's just some real armor, so I'm using everything to my advantage and blowing up this shop to get a lot more gold, being careful not to hit the merchant because the merchant will absolutely kill me. So just going carefully through this. So after getting enough money through some mild vandalism, I was able to get my well-deserved armor, and I can now breeze through the crypt, just seeing what I can do, and finding another heart canister within the box. So luckily, I'm looking pretty good for this. So rounding out the end of this zone to the final floor is Coral Rift, which is another big bad boss, and I'm just going to shred through all of his tentacles. I don't even know what's actually attacking me because I can't even see it. So is it really attacking me? Kind of like the if a tree falls in the wood but no one hears it, did it really fall at all? So I'm actually going to just go through and shred Coral Rift with some pain, but he does take one up, so he's going to try and take me out this way. But with one more pain, I was swiftly able to take him out. So now entering a new part of this crypt, this is actually just a hellscape. It is both fire and ice, which is absolutely terrifying, not because of the concept, it's because it's just mildly hard and everything here wants to kill me. So I have to be very careful where I step and what I do, because one wrong misstep in this area means certain doom. And on the next floor next to the new shop, I actually found some headphones that will rid me of the curse of the cool sunglasses, because I'm gonna be so honest, it was getting kind of annoying. And this shop has something truly fantastic, which is a magic carrot, which if I overeat with it, I get a new heart. Because I traded my ring for a little bit more powerful ring, I get some money back. And by getting some money back, I mean blowing up the shopkeep's shop and taking some cash for myself. And while going through the next floor in the zone, I actually found this little pendant that's gonna give me a little buddy. So I just used the pendant and summoned my snowy new friend. So now I have a spectral pal, kind of fits the branding, to help me go through this crypt and maybe even survive. So going through this zone of the crypt is not actually that bad. Now I have to play some chess against some jazzy musicians that want my head. So I just kind of storm in there and use my new ring to rush all the pawns down, destroying everything in my path like how I usually do with chess, and wait for the king to show himself and take him out. Now for the next zone. This one is more reminiscent of a proper dungeon with brick walls, chain skeletons, the works. It is actually a pretty fun and impressive sight, and I can absolutely plow through it with my new buddy at my side as he freezes anyone below me, and he's gonna be a lot of help going through this. So I'm just going to slowly but surely make my way through this with my cool titanium broadsword and shred through. I get a shield here that allows me to reflect anything, and it should be fine. So on the next floor of this zone, I find the shop, which gives me the blood rapier. Now this is a very good weapon because it allows me to regenerate from taking out guys. So as long as I'm smart with my attacks and don't get hit, I should be able to regenerate from pretty much anything. So after sweeping that floor, I get to Death Metal, which is the boss of this floor. So I'm doing a lot of damage because of the pain boots and the rapier. They kind of go together because as I slide into someone with these boots, I'm doing about 5 hearts a hit, and it's pretty impressive. And heading straight into the new zone, this one's actually pretty fun because these electrified paths, when I zap somebody, or when I hit somebody, it makes an arc zapping everyone else in its path. It's pretty powerful. And finding this shop, I find a pendant that gives me a little pigeon spirit. I'm really living up to the name brand now of the Spectral Drifter because now I have a lot of little Spectral Drift friends to go through this. Now this dove teleports anyone away from me, and as long as they hit that dove before me, I'm practically untouchable from that side. So sweeping up that zone, I get to probably the most terrifying of bosses, Dead Ringer, which he is very powerful by himself, summoning all of the other bosses that I've slain. Well, not bosses, mini bosses. These are the bosses on each floor of each zone, and he's now just summoning all of them to his side using these bells. Now I'm just gonna try and plow through and summon them myself so I can get him to his final phase. Because when he's in his final phase, he's the most deadly. He can zap to my position, and if he hits me, he almost kills me. But luckily I give him a concussion and make him hit the final gong. Usually that's a lot harder, but now knocking him down and probably giving him a concussion, the NecroDancer rises back up, and now I have a new ally to take him out. So now with a fully realized Dead Ringer, he's now angry and wants to help me get revenge for my heart. So now it's time to beat up the NecroDancer. Now, the NercoDancer tries to make me step in different directions, now having to use both Cadence and her father to get through this part. So I just have to position myself and not get hit, which is pretty hard because, well, the NercoDancer, he has a lot of guys and he just reanimates anyone that I kill. So it's just constant wave after wave. The first part isn't that bad, I just have to get the positioning right, which is a little bit annoying, but isn't too harmful in and of itself. One hit makes everything worse, but as long as I can get the positions right, shouldn't be that bad. These little MCs, which is what they're called, they're a bit hard to deal with, but luckily one mace swing brings them down. This is probably the weirdest position, it's just pretty spread out. But as long as I keep the timing and pace, it shouldn't be that bad. So after causing one more explosion on stage, it's time to grab the golden loot, which is the only thing that can actually stop the NecroDancer. Now he's running away from me, but I'm not stupid enough to get near him because he does have a bomb attack that will just KO me pretty quick. So the NecroDancer is pretty deadly, and if both Cadence and her father are close enough, he can detonate and just take them both out. So with some careful maneuvering, I can slowly but surely whittle the NecroDancer down and try not to die. So with all the mini bosses now being spawned from the NecroDancer's tomb, I can now slowly but surely go through this and hopefully not get exploded in the process. Working around the NecroDancer is kind of scary because when he's, trying to freeze me, it looks kind of like an explosion and it's kind of worrying. So I'm keeping my distance for the most part. Like right here, I know it's a bomb because he starts shaking, but I'm not too sure most of the time. So every time I hit him, he teleports, but I get close enough and I get a little greedy there and finally take him out. So with the NecroDancer finally defeated, I can escape this dancing tomb and finally walk out of here. So now with my heart and golden loot in tow, I can finally get out of the crypt of the NecroDancer. And finally, I'm the Spectral Drifter, but you can just call me M. Have a good day, evening, or night, and I'll see you later.